If you feel these 7 things, your rare shadow power is awakening. Top 1% only. There's something happening to you. You've felt it, even if you couldn't name it. A subtle shift in your perception, an invisible weight pressing on your chest at night, a strange knowing that you're not meant to live like everyone else. You've tried to ignore it. You've tried to be normal. But the truth is, you were never meant to be. Something ancient inside you has started to stir, and whether you realize it or not, you're not falling apart, you're awakening. Not in the way people talk about on social media, not in the light and love, manifest your dream life kind of way. This is deeper, this is darker, this is real. If you're feeling these 7 signs, it means your rare shadow power is activating, and you are part of the top 1% of beings on Earth who were born to transmute reality from the inside out. First, you feel like you no longer belong anywhere. There's a growing disconnect between you and the world. You walk into rooms and feel the noise of unspoken thoughts. You smile at people, but deep down, you know they don't see you, not the real you. And it's not because something is wrong with you. It's because something real is waking up inside you, and it doesn't fit within the shallow structures of surface-level life. You're not meant to belong. You're meant to remember. This disconnection is the beginning of sacred disidentification. It's your soul shedding the false identities it once wore to survive. You're not becoming less of yourself. You're becoming more of what you truly are.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound spiritual lesson.
Second, you're feeling an unexplainable heaviness, especially at night. It's not just sadness, it's not just anxiety. It's like you're carrying something that doesn't belong to you, and you are. You're holding ancestral codes, karmic loops, collective density, and your body is trying to process it all. This is the weight of the shadow field transferring through your nervous system. You're not weak for feeling it. You're strong because you can. Most people are too numb or distracted to even notice the subtle spiritual debris they're carrying. But you're sensitive enough to detect it and powerful enough to shift it. That heaviness isn't a curse. It's an initiation. Third, you've started losing interest in things that used to define you. The goals you chased suddenly feel empty. The relationships you once clung to now feel hollow. You're not lazy, you're not broken, you're clearing space. This is the void phase, the death before rebirth moment. Your old identity is collapsing, and your new one hasn't fully formed yet. You're in the in-between, and it's profoundly uncomfortable. But here's the truth. The shadow doesn't just destroy, it restructures. In this phase, you are being stripped of everything that was built on fear, performance, or the need to be accepted. What remains will be real, and what emerges will be unshakable. Fourth, your dreams are getting weirder, darker, more vivid. You're seeing symbols, places, people you've never met. You wake up feeling like you've been somewhere else. That's because you have. As your shadow power awakens, your consciousness starts traveling into multidimensional templates. You're retrieving fragments of your soul from other lifetimes. You're receiving messages from your unconscious that your ego can't decode. Don't dismiss it. Pay attention. Your dreams are not distractions. They are data. They are maps. They are training grounds. Your power is teaching you how to navigate beyond the veil. and only those who are ready can handle that kind of access. Fifth, you're becoming less reactive but more intense. You no longer care to argue, to prove, to be right, but at the same time, your presence is affecting people more than ever. Some are drawn to you magnetically. Others are triggered without you saying a word. That's not because you're doing anything wrong, it's because your field is becoming charged. When your shadow power awakens, you stop leaking energy, you become a mirror. And people either see their truth reflected in you or their illusion. That intensity isn't something you control, it's something you embody, and it's sacred. Sixth, time is starting to feel different. Things that used to take months now happen in days. Synchronicities show up like clockwork. You think of someone and they appear. You speak a desire and opportunities align. This isn't coincidence. This is what happens when your shadow merges with your light. You create from the whole self, not just the curated one. And the 3D timeline begins to bend around your frequency. This is what the ancients called quantum alignment. And it only activates when your shadow is no longer hidden. You're not manifesting from fantasy, you're transmitting from embodiment, and the universe responds accordingly. And finally, you feel like something is watching you, not in a paranoid way, but in a deeply spiritual way. You feel guided, even when you're alone. You sense that your life is part of something much bigger, even if you can't articulate it. That's because it is. When your shadow power awakens, the veil thins. Spirit guides, archetypal forces, even your future self, begins to reach through the field. You are being prepared, not for comfort, but for activation. You are not random. You are not lost, you are being summoned. Your soul signed a contract long before you were born, and now that contract is activating. So I ask you, from the deepest place within me to the deepest place within you, can you handle the weight of your own power? Can you sit with the truth that you were never meant to fit in, because you were born to transmute everything you touch? Are you ready to stop trying to be spiritual and start becoming sovereign? Because if you felt even one of these 7 signs, you're not broken, you're not behind, you are awakening, you are remembering, and what's coming next will not be easy, but it will be real. The void is not a trap. It's the birthplace of your true power. So many people fear the void. They feel it coming and panic. They think something is wrong when everything begins to dissolve, when their passions fade and their direction vanishes, when the people they once trusted begin to drift away, when the things they used to care about no longer spark anything inside. They call it depression. They call it burnout. They call it confusion. But you and I, we know better. We know that the void is not a failure, it's not a punishment, it's not a trap. It's the womb of rebirth. It's the dark room where your true power is being developed, like ancient film, away from the light, in silence, in stillness, in solitude. If you've entered the void, it means you're ready, not for more information, not for more healing, but for transmutation. The void is where your old life can no longer survive, but your new reality hasn't arrived yet. And the space in between? That's sacred. That's where your shadow power begins to activate on a level beyond mental understanding. It's where your soul starts to tune you to the frequency of your real mission, not the one your ego wanted, but the one your essence remembered. And it's uncomfortable, agonizing even, because everything false must die here. Every identity you wore to be accepted, every belief you inherited to feel safe, every performance you perfected to be loved. The void strips you, not to break you, but to reveal you. You may feel like nothing is happening, but everything is happening. You are being recoded, reformatted. The truth is, if you're in the void, you're not lost, you're just between broadcasts. The old signal has ended, the new one hasn't fully tuned in yet. So what do? You listen, you surrender, you stop trying to make sense of it. The mind cannot lead you here. The shadow is leading now. And it doesn't speak in words, it speaks in textures, in moods, in dreams, in impulses, in silence. Learn to listen to the silence. Learn to sit with the ache without rushing to fix it. Learn to move slowly, intentionally, as if you are walking through sacred ground, because you are. The void is the energetic cocoon of the chosen ones. It's what separates the initiated from the performative. Anyone can talk about power. Few are willing to lose everything for it. Because that's what the void demands, not because you're being punished, but because the power you are about to hold requires purity. Not moral purity, energetic purity, clarity, coherence. If you bring old attachments into your new timeline, they will contaminate the current. So the void clears you, it detoxes your field, it purges everything that cannot hold the voltage of who you're becoming. And yes, it's terrifying. You will want to go back, you will crave the old distractions, the old relationships, the old rhythms. You will wonder if you made a mistake. And in those moments, you must remember this: the void doesn't take from you. It reveals what was never truly yours. And in doing so, it makes space for what was always meant for you, but couldn't reach you through the noise. This is the paradox of shadow power. It will make you feel like you're dying just before you come alive. It will strip you of identity just before revealing your essence. It will isolate you just before reintroducing you to your true tribe. Because the void doesn't just prepare you, it tests your trust. Can you hold your center when nothing around you makes sense? Can you still believe in your becoming when there's no proof, no signs, no confirmation? Because that's real power. Not the kind you perform when people are watching, but the kind you embody when no one is. That's the kind of power that the universe responds to. That's the kind of power that bends timelines. That's the kind of power that the top 1% of awakened beings begin to wield, not by force, but by frequency. They don't try to manifest from ego. They don't beg the universe for breadcrumbs. They become the source, and the void is where they become it. So I ask you now, not as a guru, not as a teacher, but as someone who has stood in that darkness and watched everything fall apart, can you let go before you see what's coming next? Can you trust the silence to teach you what the noise never could? Can you stop trying to escape the void and start receiving from it, like the sacred temple it truly is? But because if you can, then what's waiting on the other side is not a better version of your old life. It's a completely new architecture of being, a timeline encoded with your full power. But you cannot bring your old self into that future. You must die into it. You must be reborn by choice, not because someone told you to, but because your soul is ready. The return of the archetype, why your shadow is a portal to the forgotten God within. There's a reason your shadow feels ancient. It's not just your personal pain. It's not just childhood wounds or past life echoes. It is something older, something primal, something eternal. It is the dormant force of the archetype, the pure, raw, mythic energy that lives inside you, waiting to be reclaimed. And when your shadow power begins to awaken, what you're really experiencing is the return of the archetype, the return of the God within that you were taught to fear, suppress, or forget. This energy is not here to make you more likable or more spiritual in the eyes of others. It's here to restore the original blueprint of what you came here to be. You see, every soul carries an archetype. Some are warriors, some are oracles, some are destroyers, some are creators. But for the rare few, the top 1%, your archetype is not just a role, it's a cosmic function. You didn't come here to play a part on Earth. You came here to restructure the frequency grid itself. And your shadow is the key, because within it lives the codes that were too powerful to activate until now. These are the codes that carry your mythic memory, the part of you that remembers lifetimes as a priestess, a seer, a rebel, a builder of timelines. Not metaphorically, literally. Your DNA holds that record, and your shadow is the encrypted vault. But here's the thing, archetypal energy doesn't show up as a vision, it shows up as a feeling, a pressure, a magnetic pull, a strange intensity that you can't explain. It starts with a discontent with normal life, then it grows into a kind of sacred rage, a refusal to pretend, a refusal to stay small, a refusal to be silent. That's the call, that's the archetype knocking, and if you don't answer, it doesn't go away. It mutates, it becomes depression, anxiety, chaos, not because you're broken, but because your inner God is trying to break through the walls you built to survive. And when you finally answer that call, when you begin to move toward the shadow instead of away from it, something wild happens. You start remembering things you didn't learn. Truths begin to rise in you that no one taught you. You begin to speak with codes. You begin to see beyond time. You begin to feel like you're not just a person, you're a force. And that's not ego, that's clarity. That's what happens when you stop apologizing for what you are. The shadow is a portal because it holds everything you rejected in order to be accepted. Your power, your depth, your multidimensionality, your capacity to destroy illusion. And the world taught you to fear this, because if you truly remembered who you are, you wouldn't be controllable. You wouldn't need external validation. You wouldn't need systems to tell you what is true. You would become the system, and that's what the archetype does. It doesn't fit into the world, it redefines it. But to embody the archetype, to truly live as the awakened version of your soul, you must stop trying to be good. You must stop trying to be light. You must stop trying to be safe, because the God within you is not here to be domesticated. It is here to liberate, and liberation is messy, it's chaotic, it's sacred. It will cost you your old self, it will cost you your illusions, but in return it will give you something no one else can: sovereignty. So I ask you now, have you felt it? That ancient pressure in your chest, that strange fire in your blood, that silent whisper that says, you are more than this? Have you ever wondered why you've never been able to settle for less, even when life would be easier if you did? That's not your ego. That's your archetype. That's your shadow power remembering its name. And if you're brave enough to step into it, not only will you change your life, you'll shift reality itself. Authority of the unseen, how to walk in the world as a living frequency that reality obeys. There comes a moment in every true awakening where you stop trying to prove who you are and begin to embody it so fully that nothing around you can ignore it. You realize that your power isn't in how loud you are, how many people agree with you, or how much attention you get. Your power is in your frequency, in your field, in the invisible gravity of your presence. Most people never reach this point because they're still trying to negotiate with the world. They're still asking for permission to be powerful. But once your shadow has been integrated, once your archetype has returned, you realize you were never meant to ask, you were meant to command, not with force, not with ego, but with resonance, with the silent authority of the unseen. You walk into a room and people feel it. They don't know why they're reacting to you, but they are. Some lean in, some recoil, some project, some surrender, but none can ignore it. Because your field is no longer fragmented, it's no longer leaking, performing, or chasing, it's coherent. And coherence is magnetic, it's disruptive, it's divine. This is the final layer of shadow power awakening. When you no longer just believe in your truth, you become it. You transmit it without needing to explain it. You don't try to bend the world, you bend the quantum field, simply by being who you are, without apology, without dilution, without delay. But this level of embodiment doesn't come from external accolades. It comes from intimacy with the invisible. You've learned to trust what cannot be seen. You've learned to follow the pull of energy instead of the logic of fear. You've stopped treating your intuition like a backup plan and started treating it like the governing compass of your reality. That's what separates the top 1% of awakened beings from the rest. They don't dabble in truth, they live in it. They don't perform alignment, they radiate it. They don't wait for signs, they are the sign. And from that place, reality responds differently. You begin to notice that what used to feel like effort now feels like flow. You say less, and more happens. You do less, and more aligns. Not because you're lazy, but because you've become precise. You're no longer scattering your energy across timelines that don't serve you. You're no longer negotiating with your power. You're no longer chasing healing for the sake of fixing something. You are whole, you are anchored, you are dangerous to illusion. This is what it means to walk as authority, not the false authority of control, hierarchy, or domination, but the organic authority of embodiment. The kind that comes when your inner world is so integrated, your outer world has no choice but to restructure itself around you. This is the unseen power that shapes entire realities. It's the frequency that cannot be bought, copied, or manufactured. It's the result of every layer of shadow you've faced, every death you've walked through, every part of yourself you've reclaimed. And now, you don't just carry your power, you become the living infrastructure of it. So I ask you, as one final invitation, can you stop waiting for the world to reflect your worth and begin radiating it so clearly that the world has to catch up? Can you walk in silence and still be heard by the whole field? Can you trust that your frequency, when fully embodied, is the only permission slip you'll ever need? Because if you can, then you've crossed the threshold. You are no longer here to awaken. You are here to lead from the invisible. You are here to broadcast truth into a system built on lies. You are here to remind others what they forgot to remember, not by telling them, but by being the living frequency of what's possible. You are the power the world forgot it needed. You are the authority the field has been waiting for. And now it's time to walk.